Good evening. I'd like to call the Water Pollution Control Authority and Town Council meeting to order. It is Tuesday, March 17th. Time is 6:33. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Angeloni.
Here.
Counselor Diamond. Here. Counselor Gold.
Here.
Counselor Mace.
Here.
Counselor Rose.
Here.
Counselor Whitwer.
Here.
And Counselor Zampano.
Here. And I'm here.
Counselor Miller, I'm so sorry.
Since I moved, I'm nobody.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of the February 17th WPCA and Town Council meeting? Motion made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Goad. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next is to approve, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 24th, 2026 Special Town Council meeting?
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Goad. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain
Motion carries. You were there, Al.
on February.
Yeah, February 24th.
Oh, okay.
That's the one, that was the executive
I'll
session.
say yes.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 3rd, 2026 budget workshop? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Miller. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. And do I hear a motion to approve the March 10th, 2026 budget workshop meeting? Second?
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Rose. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
I abstain.
Motion carries. Okay, on to the WPCA agenda. Any statements, citizen statements regarding WPCA? There's no unfinished business, there's no new business. And since we didn't have any citizen statements the first time, I'm assuming we have none the second time. Now on to the regular town council meeting. First item of on the agenda is community events and presentations. And I would like to call up Ron Policia. Welcome to this side. So on behalf of the town of North Branford, I would like to present this recognition to Ronald D. Policia Jr. This commendation is hereby given in recognition and appreciation for your years of service and contributions to our community. Town Council from November 12th, 2019 to February 18th, 2026. Presented by the North Branford Town Council, March of 2026. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Ron. Thank you.
Thanks for serving.
8 years.
So there is a public hearing tonight at 7 o'clock, so we'll just continue on with our meeting until we get to 7 o'clock, and then we'll come back to that. Next item on the agenda is reports of committees, boards, and commissions. First one is economic development.
I didn't attend.
Okay. Park and Recreation, Their meeting was, I was unable to attend. And so their next meeting is next Tuesday, March 24th. Police Commission,
That meeting was canceled for this month.
okay. Fire Commission,
I did not attend.
Fire Commission, I got that.
okay.
It was a quick meeting.
They are. Their agendas look long, but
Good.
they
I was
go
5
right
minutes
through
late
it.
and I almost missed it.
Oh, Zampano time. It's gonna be tough if you're on Zampano
But
time.
I did catch a few things. 18 members passed the officers class, which they conduct now in town. Is that right,
Yes.
Anthony? Right. And they're still working on the communications with Motorola and whoever else. We're still having difficulties there. And then the meeting ended.
Okay. All right. Planning and zoning. Bob?
Thank you. I attended the meeting of the Planning and Zoning on February 19th. I took up just a few notes. I won't read them all. Bob Nowak, the chairman, was presiding. The committee took a verbal presentation from an engineer on behalf of McClellan North Branford LLC, who was seeking approval for a site plan mod at 90 Cerro Road. The engineer gave a wonderful presentation, very thorough. The application passed all permitting, and it had installation of septic, and it had approval from Inland Wetlands Watercourses Agency. They had done a site walk on the property as well. We then moved on to, or the commission turned on to the town planner, Dave Perkins, spoke of a pending public hearing on March 5th concerning schedules of modification to what is known as Schedule A, what I'm referring to as a planning and zoning set of values and restrictions. The hearing at that time was yet to be advertised in local papers. That may have already been done. Let's see, Mr. Perkins prepared some documents for the P&Z members concerning training that is required by state law. Online courses are available. He'll have more information as that becomes available. General discussion ensued about House Bill 8002, which concerns parking, open space, and urban density, which is expected to affect North Branford in 2028 to 2029 time period. Mr. Nowak, on behalf of the group, expressed thanks to Councilor Zampano for his liaison work to the P&Z. That's the end of the report.
Okay, thank you. Finance Subcommittee did not meet. We were holding budget workshops. And our April meeting will also be canceled because we will be in budget negotiations. We have a scheduled meeting that night also. So the next one probably will not be until May. Public Safety Communications Subcommittee?
And we did not meet this month because we want to wait for the fact that Motorola is finally coming down here on the 26th and 27th. And they're going to recreate the problems that the fire department had on Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully, they're going to spend enough time here and really try to help us find the problem. So we want to wait till after they come.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Inland Wetlands, Bob.
Okay, thank you. I attended the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency meeting of February 25th. Ashley Joyner led the meeting in the absence of Steve Scavo. Minutes of the prior could not be approved. There was insufficient number of members present. The main item on the agenda that night was approval of an application 2026-1 for construction of a house at 175 Twin Lakes Road on the shore of Lindsley Pond, I think it is. The applicant's representative gave, again, very thorough presentation, charts, you name it, answered every question you could think of. They've agreed to comply with all the restrictions that were placed, standard restrictions plus posting of signs that are available from the town. The property is already served by water and sewer. No public hearing was deemed necessary. And that was it for that. They, again, as Dave did on the P&Z meeting, he responded to member Frank Bergano concerning training requirements for those involved in wetlands issues. Mr. Perkins said he will provide updated information about the courses as the new curriculum is identified. That's the end of the report.
All right, thank you. Blueprint Committee.
No meeting.
Okay. Town Managers Report.
Good evening and happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. As the council has been informed previously, the town of North Haven is planning a major improvement project to its sanitary sewer system that they estimate will cost approximately $23 million. Per the town's sewer use agreement with North Haven, North Branford is responsible for a portion of the total cost of that improvement project in proportion to our capacity on their system. Currently, that capacity stands at approximately 20%. North Branford recently began an infiltration and inflow study of the North Haven section of the town's sanitary sewer system, which is overseen by the town engineer, Chris Holden. The hope is to identify and reduce the amount of stormwater infiltrating the town's system to reduce our capacity and thereby hopefully reduce the town's share of the North Haven improvement project. The town engineer, treasurer, finance director, and I recently met with representatives of North Haven to discuss the project. They anticipate that construction will finish in approximately 2028 and will be funded with a 20-year bond. We will continue to work with North Haven and keep the council abreast of any developments as they arrive.
So I just have a question quick before so roughly, if it's 23 million and 20%, so we're at 4.6 million for the project. So where does this money come from for us? From the sewer?
Sewer capital, and then once that's depleted, it becomes part of the sewer use rate.
Okay, do we know how much we have in our sewer capital at this
I can
point?
get a number for you. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can get it for you. I ran a number. Do you have that number, the estimated number
It's
of debt
approximately
service?
450 in year one, 450,000.
Yeah.
So we would just have to pay over a 20-year
Correct.
period?
Yeah,
We would
marries
contribute
up
our
with their
portion
debt
of the bond.
service.
Oh, okay.
So whatever their debt service, we did that same thing probably 20 years ago when they did another improvement on the North Haven plant. And what we found out last time when Mike Downs was still there, they had deferred a lot of maintenance on that plant. There are several items that need to be addressed. And for whatever reason, no one had the appetite to proceed with them. So now there have some significant repairs that need to be done. And it's time to pay the piper that they should have been doing all along, quite honestly. But by their own admission, that there was no appetite to, again, you focus on the rate. What's the rate? What's the rate? What's the rate? No one wants to pad the rate to take care of these projects. And they sit out there waiting, and now we have to fix the issues, so.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I received notice on February 26th that town planner David Perkins will retire from full-time work with the town of North Branford, effective this Friday, March 20th. David has worked for the town for over 3 years, and he's been an asset to his department and our team here at Town Hall. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank him for his dedicated service to the town and wish him many happy years of retirement. Fortunately, he's indicated a willingness to continue to work on a part-time basis until we find a replacement, for which we are very grateful. With the end of February, Restaurant Month in North Branford has ended. Thank you to this year's participating restaurants: Taco Palace, Duties to Tuck It In, Supreme Seafood, Katsu, Capone's Pizza Bar Route 80, Hidden Kitchen, Giovanni's, Angiolo's Wood Fired Pizza, and Mill Pond Steakhouse, as well as Bobby's a Pizza and Nada's Restaurant, which contributed gift certificates. We had approximately 2,000 entrants into the contest, and the drawing was held Friday, March 13th. The first place winner receives $550 in gift cards, and the second place winner will receive $275 in gift cards. I'd like to thank the Economic Development Commission and the Shoreline Chamber for all their hard work in putting this event together, and we look forward to building on this year's success next year. On Monday, March 9th, I attended Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro's annual municipal CEO meeting. She and her staff updated us on legislative priorities in Washington, provided updates on funding opportunities, including congressionally directed spending, and answered questions from the CEOs present. Among the topics raised was the ever-increasing price and waiting time for fire apparatus, and whether the federal government could play a role in addressing this issue. I took the opportunity to follow up with her staff regarding the town's outstanding Assistance for Firefighters grant, and I'm expecting a reply in the next week or two. On the snowy morning of February 25th, I had the pleasure of attending the Shoreline Chamber Annual Excellence Awards. This year, North Branford's Hometown Hero Award was given to our very own Treasurer and Finance Director, Anthony Esposito, for his lifetime of dedicated service to the town in a variety of roles. A strong contingent of support from Town Hall was there, as well as his family to congratulate him. Ashley McLean and from Beyond the Horizon and our Parks, Recreation Senior Center Director, Carrie Haynes, have been invited to present at the Massachusetts Recreation and Parks Association Conference on March 25th. They would deliver a talk entitled Building Inclusive Recreation Through Community Partnerships that will highlight their work to provide sensory-friendly recreational opportunities here in North Branford. We're excited that their innovative work is being recognized and hope it can serve as a model for other communities. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Permanent Project Building Committee updates?
At the police department, the driveway cracks are still under review. At the high school, they're investigating the green roof leak, and that should take place over April break. It was delayed due to the snow. And the warranty and closeout process remain in progress. At Edward Smith Library, the HVAC bids were received March 4th. And the Permanent Project Building Committee met on Friday, so you will have a recommendation in your folders for tonight's agenda. The high school storage building remains on hold while they await specs. Public Works construction is in progress. It's partially completed. PPPC has reviewed the scope of the project, and change requests are on the agenda later tonight for the town council to consider.
Oh, good. All right, thank you.
Rory, the leaks in the high school, did they figure out where those leaks are coming from?
I will have to get back to you, I'm not sure.
Because I know I had a customer come in and somebody had taken pictures and there's all garbage cans all around the school with leaks coming in.
That's under the green roof. So that's what's gonna happen April vacation. They're removing the green roof and they're gonna do a flood test. So the town has to pay for that first, till we find whose fault it is. And then hopefully we can go after that, and Gilbane will go after that contractor. So, but that's it, that's.
So what they're gonna, from what I've heard at the Board of Ed meetings, the report on that is they're gonna take the green roof out. I mean, they're not gonna have it for growing, and if they're gonna grow up there, they're gonna do it in pots and whatever else.
Yeah, we're not putting it back.
They're not putting it back the way it is right now.
So they think that's the area where it's leaking from?
Yes, it's definitely, so the green roof is a flat roof over top of the garbage cans or down below.
Yeah.
Is it the media center?
I think it's the library, yeah.
The library, yeah.
It's over the worst room that it could be over. No, of course. So, and the only other thing that the building committee did was, in between two of the science rooms, they had put in a folding door that the architect did, kind of
Like
on his own, just like the
one of
green
those
roof. Yeah.
walls that
Well,
move.
the two classes have been complaining that it's too noisy, and they tried everything. They, insulated above the drop ceiling and everything. So anyway, that's gonna come out in April vacation and be a sheetrock wall. Done. And then, the Board of Ed said, we'll never open the doors. We'd rather have the rooms quiet. So, and that's only gonna cost us like $5,600. So
Is Gilbane doing that?
Gilbane is doing that for $5,600. So we
bargain.
we better jump on that. So, yeah, good.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
No?
Well, Al's our liaison to the permanent project, and he spent many, many hours on permanent project, so it's great that you can fill in Al and all the missing pieces there. That's great, thank you. Okay. On to citizen statements, petitions, and correspondence. I would just like to recognize the North Branford High School girls basketball team who have made it to the finals. which will be this weekend at Mohegan Sun, I believe, are the finals. So congratulations to their coach and all the girls at North Branford High School. I believe it's been a while since they've made it this far, and so good luck, girls.
When is that game?
It's this weekend. I think it's on Sunday.
I'm not sure.
It's either Saturday or Sunday, but it's this weekend. And tickets do have to be bought in advance. There's a website that you can go.
Who are they playing, Rose?
I'm not,
We don't know.
Don't know yet.
Don't know yet.
what class are they in? S? Are we in S?
No, I think they're class 5. They go by.
Oh, it's different than-
numbers, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
I'm not, don't quote me on that, but I know the boys are in 5, so.
okay. All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to resignations and appointments. We have a resignation from Gregory Sharp from the Solid Hazardous Waste and Recycling Committee. His term expired, will expire 12/31/27. So I'd just like to thank Greg for all of his service on this committee, and we'll look for a replacement for him. Okay, all right, we still have some time before the public hearing, so we will just continue on with our meeting here. So item 12, unfinished business. A is in related to the public hearing, so we can't do that one. And B is, we'll have to come back to that. That's an executive session item, so we'll come back to that. So we'll move on to new business discussion and action. First item is supplemental appropriation for Public Works Facility Construction Project. So in our packet, you will see a spreadsheet for this project. So the reason this is before us is that this project, the only thing the council voted on was actually the contract for Munger Construction. So we were not provided any, like, the complete cost estimates for this project. We just voted on last year, in May, we voted on the contract so that they could start the project. And now this is coming forward for the completion of what they need for the completion of the project. And this project is we are not bonding for this project, we are paying for this project. So, I'm not, is there anyone, Rory, are you gonna just kind of go over this, or is there someone from Public Works that's gonna go over
Yeah,
this?
Dan Salentano is
Dan?
gonna speak to it.
Okay,
Good evening. Yeah, so this is, as Rose said, originally appropriated was the number for Munger to do the job. This didn't account for any of the associated costs that we took on ourselves for the, there's a couple overages with Munger, but for example, mainly it was, purchasing and laying the propane tank, propane line, associated work with that. Another example is we had to do some work with the well line because it was from I forgot when, the 70s. They wanted $15,000 to do it with prevailing wage. We did it ourselves for $2,000. So things like that. It was all the in-between. There was no contingency on the project, so we kind of just had to do it. Little bit of minor paving out front we did, a couple parking spaces. And then below there in yellow in your packet, that was all the soft costs, all the original architectural fees, and there were some special inspections in there. And this all went to PPBC for approval.
okay, so All right, let me just, let's see. So is there a motion, is there anything that we have to do, or is this just the accounting on the because we're not bonding or anything?
It's gonna come out of, the first $1.5 million came out of fund balance. So my thought was to take the additional amount, the additional 117, capture it in the next year, 26, 27 capital improvement plan as an additional appropriation for this project coming out of fund balance. Knowing full well that you guys are gonna bless it, most likely, and they can continue to, close the project out and move forward. You can't really change the fund, it's a fund balance appropriation. There obviously isn't 117 in contingency left to do it. So the first chunk of the money came out of fund balance. It just makes sense to marry the second piece up with that, take it out of fund balance in the next year's CIP. We'll just, as we're putting together the CIP now, we'll include that in there for now, and then it won't impede them at all because the bills are already basically in process, or the POs are in process. So it's gonna be a little bit of a lag. We're gonna, we're gonna spend it and then replenish it come July 1.
Okay.
When the CIP gets adopted.
I have a couple questions. So I'm trying to understand the draft tone. It's already funded for $1,500,000.
Correct.
It says here, right? And then the additional funds of $117,000 are coming from where?
Fund balance. That's where the initial $1.5 million came out of. It was in the CIP in the.
For capital improvement?
The capital improvement program, yeah. It'll be funded, the CIP, you have multiple funding sources. You could take it out of taxation, you could take it out of fund balance, you could take it out of grants, you could bond it. And the decision was made that we have so much bonding debt currently, we're gonna pay cash for this. Take it out of our piggy bank, basically. So that's where the $1.5 million came out of, and then the 117 will be in that same spending kind of, philosophy.
And I also see here they've got ARPA funds that were part of this as well, 27,000 change.
The initial money to have the architect design it was funded by ARPA.
ARPA, which wasn't our taxes, it was.
It was right, the federal government, yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
And the general fund, $5,000, what's that?
There was some money at, I think, 24-5 budget, they had some money to buy some furniture or something that you guys approved the transfer from the general fund towards this as well.
Okay. And then the balance of the general fund is $60,000? That's another fund?
Yeah, that was the furniture, the 60,000.
That's the 60,000,
The
yeah.
5,000 was test borings we had to do after the architecturals.
And the $60,000 is going to the furniture for the
For the addition,
building?
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, as long as I have an understanding of where it's all coming from.
Okay. Are there any other questions in regards to this? Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we get off this,
Mhm.
Rose, it's
Yep.
nothing to do with this particularly, but having gone through the last 3.5, 4 years on the building committee, I think after our budget season this year, we need to maybe pull the building committee in and we gotta come up with a format of how we move forward with projects. Because one of we approve money for projects and we never have everything's approved. We don't have all the items in there, so I'm thinking now that we've just done all these projects, it could be fresh in everybody's mind, like, hey, what's finance, what's special inspections?
Right.
That was huge on some of them. And just make sure we have a contingency on each project for
It's a good idea.
cost overrun and stuff, because otherwise, we have to come back here and ask for money and things. So and I'm not sure we can be perfect at it, but we could definitely do better.
Well, I agree with you, Al, because I'm looking at this here, and we're taking out of Peter's fund to take care of Paul's fund, for Mary's fund, wherever this fund is coming from, to add it all together to get to the total amount of $1,700,000. And it's not just like already approved to pay for it in advance, so we know that it's not coming out of just 5 or 6 different funds, it's coming out of one capital improvement fund. Which I think is you're right, we should do something
Yeah, I
in the
think
future.
we can,
Right.
work together and come up with some kind of a checklist that we get everything in. or hope to get everything.
Right. And we know that there will be, I mean, there's definitely estimates on things, but at least we're not far off unless we run into something that we didn't anticipate in one of the things. But you try to cover all of the different areas so you get a total cost on the project going into it.
Well, it's good that you want to pay for it. You're not bonding it. So you're not
Right.
going to have a 20-year liability or.
Correct.
Year's liability. It's going to be paid off and when it's done, it's going to be paid off in cash.
It'll be done,
Which is
yeah.
good. It's done and over with.
Yes, yes. We are trying to limit our debt
Good
service
housekeeping.
and bring, because we know we have a year or two where it's going to continue to go up a little bit, but then it's going to start coming down and we want it on the downward
Okay.
trend on there. So that's why we elected to do this. Okay, so we are going to go to the public hearing now. There is on page 47 is the public hearing notice. Marie, do you have that up? Would you like to?
Notice of public hearing. The North Branford Town Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 17, 2026 at 7 PM in the North Branford Town Council chambers. The purpose of the public hearing will be to hear comments on the proposed ordinance number 2025-2, which amends Chapter 182 of the Code of North Branford entitled Peddling, Hawking, Vending as summarized below. The proposed revisions to the peddling, hawking, and vending ordinance define mobile food vendor and exempt mobile food vendors and events hosted by religious and nonprofit groups from the requirements of the ordinance. A copy of the proposed ordinance is on file at the office of the town clerk and posted on the town website. Dated at North Branford, Connecticut, this 25th day of February 2026. Lisa A. Valenti, MMC, North Branford Town Clerk. Email public comments to public-comments@townofnorthbranford.com. Publication date, March 12, 2026, in the Sound.
Thank you. Okay, so I would like to open the public hearing for proposed ordinance number 2025-02, Chapter 182, entitled Peddling, Hawking, and Vending at 7:05. Do we have any public comments in regards to this ordinance? Any public comments? No public comments, so I am going to close the public hearing at 7:06. And now we are going to go to item 12A on the agenda under unfinished business, which is proposed ordinance, discussion and action on proposed ordinance 2025-5, Chapter 182, entitled Peddling, Hawking, and Vending. So in our packet, it's starts on page 49 is the actual memo with the motion. And then there's actually the ordinance follows that on page 50. So does anyone from the
I'll
council?
move that the town council adopt the ordinance as presented, ordinance for proposed ordinance number 2025-5, Chapter 182, entitled Peddling, Hawking, and Vending.
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Goad. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 13B, proposed ordinance number 2026-2, building permit application and delinquent taxes. Okay.
Yeah, so this came to light recently. The building department has a long-established practice that is authorized by Connecticut General Statute 7-148C2B, which allows us to withhold the issuance of building permits when property owners are delinquent on their property taxes. And so typically, when somebody applies for a permit, the building department will reach out to the tax collector, who will certify whether the applicant, the property owner, sometimes the applicant is a contractor, whether the property owner is current or delinquent on their taxes. And then they have to become current in order to get the permit. This is a long-established practice, and consulted the town attorney. We have no, currently no written policy documenting this. And so the thought would be to provide the public better notice by adopting it as an ordinance. And that's the reason we're presenting it tonight.
Okay, so basically it's just if we want to move forward with a public hearing, which would be in April we set the date for the public hearing on there?
Correct.
Is that what it is? Okay.
So what do we have to do to do that?
We just have to make a motion to, if we want to move forward with it, set the public hearing date for April 21st. And we can make it for 7 o'clock. And the proposed ordinance is in our packet, starting on page 55, the language, the proposed language for it, which I believe is, Brian, did you review this language on this proposed ordinance?
That's fine, it's fine.
Okay.
It's based on an ordinance from Meriden.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, I don't know if you can pull it up, Brian?
Yep.
All right, notwithstanding the above, a lessee of real property shall be given a building permit for improvements, although the record owner so owes. So this here where there's a tenant-landlord relationship, and the tenant wants to do something, improve the building, or do construction, so the tenant has to get permission from the owner. I'm just trying to understand the mechanics of it.
This allows a lessee, a tenant,
Yeah.
to come in. If the landlord is delinquent, the tenant, so as long as the tenant provides a copy of his lease, he's rented the property for at least 3 months, and the improvements being made are for the benefit of the tenant, the lessee. And the lessee has no financial or corporate interest of the lessor, of the owner. So you can't take an owner who makes a dummy business or a brand-new LLC for the sole purpose of making a lease on the building and then doing an improvement they want to do. This is for the tenant of a building who's trying to improve his own space or its own space. While the building may be delinquent, this lets the tenant nonetheless go in, if it's an arm's length lease with the owner, to do the improvements on its leased space within that building.
All right, so I'm a tenant and I don't have a lease. I just pay month to month, there's nothing in writing, but I want to do it. How does this help me?
It doesn't. You need to have a lease.
So how do we, there's a gap here, how do we fill that gap so that a lessee who doesn't have a written 6-month lease or 1-year lease just pays month to month? How do we help that person if they want to do something?
You'd have to either allow it under this or look at whether that's actually going to happen, whether someone on a month-to-month is going to put any money into the premises. Why would you do that without a lease? Because you could be out, as you know, the next.
The question isn't why would somebody do that? The question is, if I'm a tenant and I don't have a lease, all right, how does that help me?
You cannot do an improvement to your property
All right.
unless the landlord's taxes are current. This does
Is
not.
there any way we could fix that?
Sure, if it's your pleasure, we can write it to allow any lessee. But then you run into the potential of, an owner saying, I have a month-to-month with this individual, and it's really himself or a related entity of some type. At least if you have a lease, we know that had to be in existence for 3 months. It gives you the peace of mind or the security to know that someone's not going to avoid paying their taxes to pull a permit by coming up with a sudden lease, suddenly he has a tenant to the building, the whole building, and that's to try to protect the town from that scenario, someone who tries to do an end run around us. That's why it's
Okay,
very
I'm understanding that.
So it's up to you, it's
I
up to you,
just have-
whatever you folks want to do. If you want us to rewrite it, we can, to include that, but then you lose the protection of someone.
I don't agree with that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to rewrite that. Why would you have a tenant who's going month to month able to even do that? The landlord should just pull the permit for the tenant.
Yeah.
If on a month to month, the landlord would pull the permit. I don't know, if I was renting to somebody, that's there month to month, I wouldn't want them going down to the town hall and pulling a permit to do some work on my house. So that would be the landlord would do that.
Well, they typically would need a letter from the owner saying that they're acting as the owner's agent when you go to pull a permit.
So you need the owner's permission to do it.
Right, you'd need the letter for the owner, so I understand what somebody was trying to do here, but it is, I'm not sure how many times it would actually happen that a person renting it is gonna try and improve the building, you know? And the only thing I see in here, and I've pulled hundreds of, if not thousands of building permits, in most of the towns, so this is a practice that I have to do every time I get it in other towns, every time I get a permit. Most of them have you hand it in, so here it says that a member of the building department's gonna go check it out. Most of the towns I've been in, we do it, you know, and I like the practice, so the towns that make it easy for you have a form, and they fill out the identifying numbers that the tax code people are gonna know, and they send you down the hall when they hand in your application, and you get it signed off that the taxes are paid, and you come back and it's done.
So it's part of the building
Part of
permit.
the package that the builder is handing in. And then I just would question, is this done, I'll have to ask some plumbers and electricians, is it for like minor plumbing and electric building stuff, or is it just like a building?
It would apply to anything where you need to pull a permit.
Anything that you need a
and
permit
get that
for, okay.
form.
Well, maybe we should, because a building permit in someone's eye could be different than an electrical permit, right? Or a plumbing permit.
That is a building.
That is a building.
Well, it's in the category, but if they only have to pull an electrical for an electrical permit.
Right, because, and I don't know what North Branford does, I've never pulled a plumbing or electrical permit, but they might even just say that it's a plumbing permit or an electrical permit and not even mention the word that it's a building permit. I'm not sure, we checked with Steve, or checked with Lynn. and
Right.
She would know.
I mean, just so that it covers all of that. If that's our intention, is to cover any permit that falls under building.
And it's done in most towns. I can't remember getting one that I didn't have to go get a sign off on the taxes.
So if we are going through the motion here, maybe we should try to develop it where it is a more friendly, as you described, Al.
Yeah, just
Because
make
we
it
do
part of
want-
the-
we do want to be friendly to the builders, as long as they're doing everything to code and regulations, right?
I agree, you should make it as user-friendly as we can, and
Yeah, I had specifically asked, I know in other towns, they'll do the signatory page that then you bring as part of your
Yep.
application. The reason that they stated that this was their preference is that they went paperless in the permit process, and this would reintroduce paper.
right. Okay. Valid point.
My opinion again, though, is, if you're pulling a town permit, no matter what it is, we're all supposed to be paid up on our taxes. Why would you give anybody a permit for anything if they're behind on taxes?
And there are exceptions in the case of emergency. You know, if it's, a pipe has burst and it needs to be repaired, or else the property will, you know, get further damage, a permit is issued. But it is, yeah, sort of discretionary permits are withheld.
I mean, I guess it's easier for the builder if someone from the building department does it, but I just know that in our town, we have one-person departments, so it's just something else for them to do, but. I guess
We can always reintroduce the paper and just scan it digitally so it remains a part of the file.
It would.
Yeah.
That's a preference.
We do have the capability of scanning and including it, so I think we need to have some, that the builder takes some ownership to it. And to get it, and if there's just a simple form that is already filled out as part of the package.
Right, but we find a way, as Al described, a way to make it easier.
Right.
Or not easier, but
Friendly.
yeah, more friendly to the builder, like, right, here's your, here's your maps and so forth, and your locations, and so
Right.
that you don't walk down the hallway and, be stumbling in the next office. Make it streamlined.
Okay. So would we like to set a public hearing on this? That's our next step, is to make a motion to set the public hearing.
Are we going to correct paragraph number 3, or, because that was my concern, is paragraph 3 addresses not the builder, not the landlord, doesn't address the contractors. It addresses a tenant, and the tenant must have a written lease. And there are cases where leases are not for a period of time. It's just month to month, as long as the person pays, they stay there, nothing in writing. That was my concern about that paragraph.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion that the town council of North Branford set a public hearing for April 21st at 7 PM for the proposed ordinance number 2026-2, building permit application and delinquent taxes.
Second.
okay. The motion has been made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Goad, to set a public hearing date for this. Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Abstain? Okay.
May I ask, just a point of clarification? So I should modify the language to specify a permit issued by the building department, which would cover all types of permits?
I think we should get clarification from your building department that, you need a building permit, and that's checked off whether it's building, electric. Usually it's one form in the
Sure.
towns, building, electric, plumbing, and you could, if you're doing an addition, it's structure, it's electric, it's plumbing, it's heating, HVAC, it's all different, permits, different specialties, but it's
Yeah.
one permit, those
I believe the
subcategories.
intent is for any permit.
Correct.
So I can change the language to reflect that. So it's any permit issued by the building department. So it's all encompassing. And then is the intention also to do a signature form?
You may want to check now how they're doing it, because what.
They typically do
Rose is speaking
in
of.
email.
And the departments have to certify, because I can't just get a
Correct.
permit, I have to make sure I have zoning, I have to make sure I have conservation, inland wetlands, if appropriate, my taxes are paid. In other towns, you have, sometimes you need fire review, fire department review. Depends on what type of an application it is, who needs to sign off on it as well. So that's, usually the boxes are right on the top, so you may just be doing that electronically.
Yeah,
But
it
there's
is.
gotta be some database where they know where I come in for a permit, that the tax collector checks I'm current. Zoning says I don't need a variance.
Correct.
I don't need
And
a
so what
site
they'll
plan.
do, the tax department typically will send an email so that it's in writing, and then it's included in the file.
You don't get your permit until you make sure you
Correct.
have all the approvals. Building won't issue it until everyone says they can build this thing.
Mhm.
Question.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm relatively new to this, so to Vince's point, I had a question. When we do the public hearing, it's not a take it or leave it. We're asking for public input to get their input. They may come up with some issue that we didn't think about previously. So we'll still have an opportunity
Correct.
to go over it and maybe have another day in court, pardon the
Thank you, Bob.
expression, right?
I'm just a little
Okay.
curious with Vince. So what are you saying, if someone's just renting property, that they need to get permission I'm just a little confused of what you're asking.
You're asking me?
Yes, sir.
What I'm saying is, there are people who don't own their homes here, but they
Right.
rent, all right? It may be an apartment, or it may be a one-family house. They rent. And what council is saying that if that tenant wants to improve something in their living space, all right? In order to get a permit, they have to have a written lease. And I'm saying is, there are people out there
That
that
don't
do
have a
not have
lease.
written leases. It's just month to month. So if I'm living month to month and I say to my landlord, you know, I want to do something, I want to get a written lease, and the landlord says, I don't want a written lease, I want to get rid of you at some point in time. I could just get rid of you after X amount of months and evict you if you don't move out. So, I mean, there are situations like that, and of course, during my lifetime, you know, growing up in Fairhaven, not everybody owned their home, you just rented an apartment, and not everybody had a lease. So I'm very sensitive to the people who are tenants. If they want to do something and they don't have something in writing, how do we help them improve their living space if their landlord won't give them a written lease for a definite period of time? That's all. Not asking for the world. They're just one group of people that are not protected under this here proposal. That's all.
Is there any language like that anywhere? So, you know?
Well, you could do that certainly, but then you have a scenario where anyone who could come in, say, I have a oral month-to-month lease, and we give them a building permit. I don't see that happening practically, because, you know, if you don't have a written lease, you're on a month-to-month. So if someone's gonna come in and put air conditioning in the house they're renting, they can be out the next month, or they're gonna put in a new bathroom, I don't know that scenario is actually gonna happen.
Well,
They'd be able to do that, frankly,
Yeah.
you know.
there are people out there who can't afford to buy a house. Well,
Yeah,
No,
the
I
public
get
hearing.
that, but
Yeah.
I think someone would, I can't imagine a tenant coming in saying, I'm gonna put all this money into my house, and 3 weeks from now, I can be out of this house or this storefront. It seems like a scenario that we may never see. I can't imagine seeing that happening.
Well, hopefully a public hearing will address that.
well, what could happen is somebody's lease expires and they don't have an active lease. All right, they have a one-year lease, that happens, and then it expires. And what's the legal term after it expires?
Month to month.
Goes month to month.
Right.
They don't have it in writing though, but it goes month to month.
Correct.
They had a lease.
So I
but they
can't see
don't have
that
it
person
now.
coming in saying, I'm gonna renovate my storefront with
Oh, no
$50,000, and then 3 weeks down the landlord says, you're out of here, thank you.
I don't know.
So we'll do it.
Then why do we even
meeting,
put it in
right?
there?
Yeah.
Public hearing.
That's what
Yeah.
public hearings for, we'll talk about it then, right?
Right. Yep. Okay. Next item on the agenda is town planner job description. So it's on page 56 of our packet is where,
As I mentioned with the departure of David Perkins, whenever a position is vacated, we review the job description to make sure it meets the town's current needs. And in reviewing it, there were some substantive deficiencies in it. The town planner also serves as the wetlands enforcement officer, and since the creation of the blight ordinance, the blight enforcement officer, and neither of those items are in the job description. And there are a couple other small changes that are made that are provided in the red line version that was provided in your packet. And we're just looking for approval for this so that we can get the position posted.
Now that we've mentioned the blight ordinance,
Mm.
there's one problem over on Beach Street. Is that being handled more, a little bit more now, a little more pressure on that? What's going on there?
and let's just go, let's take care of this
Okay.
item first. On here?
Sorry about that.
No problem. So has everyone had an opportunity to read this
Yeah, it looked
and everything, and
It
you're
looked
okay
like
with it?
needed a lot of change.
To move it forward so that Rory can, the town manager can post the position.
I'll move that the town council approve the town planner job description as presented.
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Rose. Any further discussion?
Yeah, so when we hire someone in town, is there a probationary period, an evaluation? And how is that handled?
So all union employees have probationary periods before which they are not afforded union protections. That's usually 6 months. For administrators, administrators are at-will employees, and so we typically have not done probationary periods because they can be terminated without cause.
Okay, so so you hire someone, because I'm really talking about non-union, non-bargaining unit. So you hire someone, how do you evaluate what's the process? You hire someone, they start today, then what? What's the process?
I mean, typically we meet with the employee over the first several months informally and make sure that, you know, they're performing their duties satisfactory.
So there is nothing in place, so you don't have a 30-day, 60-day, or 90-day review where you meet with the associate and, you know, the first 30 days, they probably, you know, they probably don't, you know, aren't up to speed. That would make sense, right? You know, but you share, you know, what we expect from you and where you're learning or your opportunities are, and then another 30 days go by and 60 days. Now they're probably showing some improvement, we hope, right? That would be the ideal. And then we're encouraging them for further growth and further training and further learning. And it's a two-way. It's two-way. It's a conversation that you have with your employee. And then at 60 days, you know if they're gonna make it, but then it goes up to 90, and then you could extend it too. So I'm taking that we have nothing like that here. You just hire someone and they're good to go. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, because they're at-will employees, we can terminate.
Yeah, but
them
at will doesn't that doesn't mean anything, because we're trying, you know, you hire someone for success, right? I mean, that's the whole idea. We don't hire someone for failure. We hire them for success. But if we're not paying attention to that, maybe they're not fulfilling their obligations, or I call it the company, but it's the town, but it's the same philosophy, the expectations of the town. So I guess I'll stop here because we don't have anything like that. That's what I'm getting. And I think we might, down the road, want to think about how we handle new employees. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because we want solid employees, and we want, we want to respect our employees, and we want our employees to respect the, whoever their manager or department head is, so. Thanks.
What was the motion?
To accept the job description as presented in our packet.
I forgot the motion. Listening to at-will employees and not at-will employees. Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay. Next item. Small Town Economic Assistant Program, STEEP Grant Agreement for the Edward Smith Library.
As you may recall, the council voted in January of 2025 to authorize the town manager to apply for a STEEP grant for the Edward Smith Library in the amount of $1 million. We received word in May of 2025 that the town had received the full $1 million award. Since that time, the PVPC has been working to develop a project scope and specifications and bid out the various parts of it. And at the same time, we've been working with the Department of Economic and Community Development to iron out the details of the STEEP grant. And so with this STEEP program, no costs of the project are reimbursable until the agreement has been signed by both parties. And so the agreement is presented to you tonight to sign. It would then go up to the state of Connecticut, and it would probably take a little bit of time for that to get countersigned. And at that point, we can begin assuming reimbursable costs for the project.
Okay, so have we had any costs related to this project so far?
So far, there was the preliminary design study that was conducted that we included as part of the project budget for the town contribution portion
Okay.
of the project, but everything else we bid out, all of the various components. The last piece tonight is the construction bid that is the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is this part of the executive session today?
No.
Because I see something in here in the folder about the Eversmith HVAC system. Unless I'm reading something wrong.
No, that's the next item on the agenda.
Oh,
That's for accepting the contract for the work on that, which is the next item on the agenda, the awarding of the bid.
want to make sure I'm not under executive session yet.
No, we're good.
So the design engineer's fees, we can still bill for even though we'd already hired them?
So when we submitted the budget for the application,
We included it?
as part of the town contribution, because we.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we had submitted a budget for 1.85 million, and that was included as one of the costs that would come out of the.
So the $850,000, the town portion of $850,000, because we got $1 million steep grant and
Correct.
$850,000 is the
Correct.
town's portion. That, the design part of it is part of that $850,000 on there. So it wouldn't go towards the steep
Correct.
grant.
It would not be a reimbursable cost.
Right, okay.
And this is prorated if it doesn't cost the 1.8, it's prorated based
Yeah.
on
So
what
the
it does cost.
The rules of the STEEP program are that any decrease in budget for the project comes out of the grant end first.
So we're on the hook for $850,000
Correct.
regardless
Correct.
of what the cost of the so if it costs 1.6 million, we still have
Correct.
850,000
We
in
pay
steep
the first
grant.
850 and then the state reimburses.
If there's any savings, it's for them. not us.
Correct.
But as projects go, where the bids are for this, and with the architect, the design fees, and I'm sure when we get done with special inspections and
Yeah,
all
and
those
the
charges.
commissioning
we're gonna
charge,
be real close to our 1.8, so
right.
I think we'll get most of the money.
Well, we aren't using
And
the
a
steep
commissioning agent.
part of it. So we're using the 850, our portion, we can. Okay, so there is a suggested motion on page 63 of our packet.
That the town council authorize the acting town manager to execute the assistance agreement by and between the state of Connecticut, acting by the Department of Economic and Community Development and the town of North Branford for the Edward Smith Library HVAC improvements project as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Goad. Any further discussion? Okay, so I just want to, because I know when the actual bid came before permanent project, there's like maybe 8 to 10 weeks for material to come in, is that?
Yep.
But we can't order the equipment until they sign, correct? Or can we order?
We can check with DECD, especially if there's lead time, they may.
Okay, because I mean, if we have to wait a couple months for them and then order the stuff, then, we're another 2.5 months after that.
Yeah.
So it could,
In
we
the
could be into the
scenario
fall.
where the materials arrive prior to the grant being countersigned, it might be an issue, but we'll confirm with DECD before we move forward.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is award of bid 26121, Edward Smith Library HVAC replacement, and this is in our packet. This is the letter that is in our packet here. And this is what Permanent Project met in last week. So they vetted the bid specs, and they're bringing this forward to us to award the bid on here. So there is a suggested motion on here, on this mill.
That the North Branford Town Council hereby authorizes the town purchasing agent to award a contract for the Edward Smith Library HVAC replacement based upon the recommendation of the engineer of record, AI Engineers, to ATEM Mechanical Services Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $1,308,340, which includes the base bid of $1,189,400, and a contingency of 10% contingent upon the state DECT acceptance.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Rose. Discussion?
Question.
Yep.
So, I guess about a month ago, we heard from John Florio, when he was talking about a computerized system to monitor heat and management of all that, that his system, if we had approved, and I think we did, would allow for expansion to other buildings in town. I'm assuming that this new system we're putting in the library, it's going to be able to tie into those things, should we want to, because new technology, it ought to be modular. We could tie in that management system into this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd like to know that answer too.
So the company that he's dealing with for the school projects is ABS. So I'm not sure about the compatibility, and I don't know if, Franny, do you know anything about?
No, I don't know if it's compatible or not, or even if it has a management system. I didn't get the specs, read the whole thing, but.
That makes total sense though.
When I see him tomorrow.
That's a separate thing, that's a separate add-on. The energy management system is a total separate project, so we can always check on that and come back to that.
I'm good, thanks.
But is that something that's gonna come back later and we're gonna get hit with a bill saying, oh, we should have did that, and we didn't do it when we approved it?
Well, the energy, it's like a maintenance issue. The energy management system is a maintenance program, from my understanding.
Wouldn't there be some sort of control panel or computer on the system that would have to match up with that would be part of the whole project?
I have to find out.
Well,
Right, shouldn't that be?
Well, the way I understand it from what we're doing at the school systems is they come in and they look at your system and they design the energy management system based on what you have. So it's not from the manufacturer, this air temp mechanical services. It's not theirs, so they come in and whatever you put into the system, that's what their energy management system.
Well, is this unit here, does this have technology that we can manage ourselves?
Yes, because it was a like for like.
Okay.
It was like for like change up there. So if we're gonna if you wanna use that system, that's something that we can find out if it's adaptable and if it makes sense. And then if there's a cost to it, would we be able to include it to hit our 1.8?
Yeah, we might be able to get it
Does it
initially.
make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, or we may look at it and it may be, okay, these two things are apples and oranges, and we're staying, like for like. So that was the most economical way to do the system. Being able to utilize some of what was there.
So Franny, could
We'd
you,
have to get a number on that. I
yeah,
don't think it was in the bid as a management
wasn't.
system, so you'd have to get a number from the.
But we can, it's an idea, if it'll work, and it works for us, we can do it, but it's just not.
it's not part of the original spec.
We don't need to hold this up for it, because we're early enough.
Yeah.
I just agree with Bob's questioning about that, and I know the last time that something did happen, it was kind of you know, we had heard we should have done this, and it weren't on the same
Right.
page, and I would hate to see that happen now.
So Franny, can you look into that and get back to Rory so that he can get back to us?
Yeah, we'll try to talk to the contractor or whatever, and see what they come up with.
Okay, great.
But it wasn't priced in the.
Correct,
Right, right.
correct.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. How does 13E impact 13D? Because I see that we got $1 million grant, but we're obligated for $850,000, and we're awarding a bid for $1,189,000 plus 10% for $1,308.
Right.
So how does one affect the other?
Well, the steep grant, we had to approve the paperwork for the steep grant because the steep grant is going to pay for some of this 1.3 million.
But if the bid is only $1,308,000, are we still on the hook for $850,000?
Correct.
It
There's-
doesn't reduce it, our obligation?
Well, there's other cost on top of this 1.3, because there's gonna be the commissioning agent that goes in here. We paid for the design, the architectural design, so that goes in there. So that can be paid out of the $850,000 that we're on the hook for,
I said
those
for-
costs. So this 1.3 is just the HVAC system.
Just the contractor.
It's
To
just
install it?
Right.
for the parts and to
It's not the
install it.
Commissioning agent, it's not the special inspector, it's not the, you know, overrun, it's,
And if there's other fees, other costs on top of that, that comes out of the steep, it doesn't come out, or that comes out of the 850,000?
Right, it gets added to the project cost and up to the steep grant, when we applied for it, it was for $1.85 million. So we got the full $1 million, so we have to pay $850,000. If it's under 1.85, the reduction will come out of the steep grant.
All right.
We're still on the hook for $850,000.
All right, so the 1,300,000, if there's any cost above that, we're on the hook for that too, or we're not on the hook for that?
Well, it becomes part of the cost of the project. So they'll look at the total cost of the project, determine what is eligible for the steep grant and what goes to us. Because not all of the costs are eligible to go towards the cost of the steep grant.
All right, well, I was looking at the 10% VIG, I figured that was their room, in case they had an overrun, they would be guaranteed the extra $200,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
yeah.
And something else just quickly to highlight, the way that the motion is structured contingent on DECD approval, the rules of STEEP state that we have to go with the lowest bidder unless DECD approves. And so this is the second lowest bidder. And so it's up at DECD now, pending approval. If they come back and say that we have to go with the lowest bidder, we will bring it back to you for approval. I just
Okay.
wanted to highlight that in case it comes back.
Okay,
So if that's the case, then the project gets delayed again.
right.
Because we were talking about having this done within a period where it wouldn't affect next year's semester or when school starts again. Could this?
Well, this is a library, this is the
Oh, this
Smith
is the
Library.
library, okay. I thought it
Yeah.
was the school, okay.
No, it's not the school, it's the Smith Library.
Why wouldn't we have chosen the least expensive?
so I wasn't at the meeting on
Friday.
because must be Mike Colmati's forgot to invite him again. He's having a hard time with me, you know, being the liaison from the council, not on it. But there were, you know, I can assure you that if the building committee went with number 2, they have good reasons. So I'm not sure what they are, but we can find out and, you know, get back to you on it. You know, they're well aware that you're, you know, in the world of bidding for municipalities, you know, you can't, you have to go with the lowest bid unless there's some reason that you can exclude them. So I'm sure they have some reason that they're willing to back up. So, and hopefully it's a good enough reason for the state to agree with them. So, and it can be, you know, it can be anything from
Right.
somebody, one of the people that they've worked for before didn't give them a good reference, and that's good enough to hang your hat on too, you know?
And it might also, yeah, I mean, I guess we can check with Mike, you can check with Mike Fumiati to see what the reason was or whatever on there. But because it's not a complete rebuild and we're using some of our existing things in there, you know, depending on how the bid was, maybe it wasn't compatible or something.
So
Or
we
it wasn't
must
all
have-
gonna work.
So we must have to keep a document of that of some sort, so that if we got questioned, I would
Yeah,
assume.
we have all the bid responses.
Okay.
If I
But
remember correctly.
we would be able to defend it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's up to DECD to approve it, but if I remember correctly, it was something having to do with, additional costs were included, and when they were excluded, the bid was within a few $1,000s. So it wasn't a very large difference. But I will get the official answer and send it out.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, we are on to item F, deauthorization of bonds.
As you're aware, Madam Mayor, whenever there's a capital project that may involve bonding, the bond resolutions are all encompassing for the gross amount of the project, whether we bond that money or not. In these cases here, as you see by the various memos behind it, going back to Richard Brannigan and Bonnie Therian days, the money for these projects came out of the library construction project primarily. So the money was not bonded, so it remains as authorized to bond but unissued bonds. So Robinson and Cole prepared the motions on the second page of the packet to deauthorize that, just to clean up the list.
Okay, so where is this money?
It's no money. It's authorized to bond it. We never bonded it. So it's on paper saying, okay, you can go out and buy, you can bond it. It's like the high school. We authorized $70 million. We didn't bond $70 million. You bid the net. So it's the same thing. You authorize the gross amount, and if you don't bond it, it just sits on this list forever until you clean it up. So there's no money per se. It's just the ability to bond. The authorization to bond was given. We didn't exercise it, so it's on this list as authorized to bond, but we never bonded.
Okay, so we didn't take out any bands, we didn't pay any interest, we didn't do any of that stuff?
Negative. It was all, primarily, it was quite honestly the library surplus from the library construction project, as you see in the memos there.
Back
that
in
we transferred to cover
2010,
most of
11.
this. Yeah, it was a while. So they've been out there for a while.
Okay,
So the motion's on the second, the motion's on the first page, but the actual motion for Robinson and Cole is the second page of the packet, if you want to read it.
oh, it's not this short one on page?
You could
9?
read that one too, yeah. Just read that one.
Okay, all right. Where do you have, on page 93?
Be it thereby resolved that the North Branford Town Council votes to favorably deauthorize the bonds referenced in the attached resolution prepared by Robinson and Cole, our bond counsel.
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, second by Counselor Rose. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay. All right, next item is contingency transfers.
Madam Mayor, there's two items that were prepared initially. Item number one, we'd like to remove tonight. We found some additional funding. That one is not needed. Item number two, the fuel master at Public Works. I don't know if Mr. Marola would like to speak to that, but that's been a project that we've been held together with Bubblegum for a few, or Danny's gonna speak to it.
Thank you. Yeah, so Fuel Master is, what it is, it's the electronic system that manages our fuel. So at Public Works, we have the big concrete tank, we have 2 fuel pumps, and then an electronic system that manages the fuel. Every department in the town that has vehicles uses it. It's from the 90s, right? From the 90s, it's aged. There's a lot of issues with it. We've replaced the control board a couple times. There's issues with it.
It's not running currently.
It's not currently running, so we're having an issue managing what fuel is going to what department, and as you recently heard, the fuel's back in everybody's department, so we kind of need to know. With that being said, we got a quote on doing an upgrade, so the existing wiring is gonna stay, the existing pedestal is gonna stay, we're just replacing the head. We're converting it to a cloud-based head now versus a hardwired, so instead of being hardwired back to the computer, it's gonna be cloud-based. You could log in on any computer from any department and manage it. This is on Sourcewell. It's sort of a sole source thing. Fuel Master is its own entity, and that's what we currently have. So rather than switch to a whole new company and get into large dollars, the quote here is for $21,051. And that encompasses parts, labor, training. And that's what we're looking to do at this moment.
So you're not tracking any of the fuel use to the departments at all? I mean,
Over the last, probably month, I think, Danny, it was a month or so.
A month or so.
Yeah, it went out, so, for the last month we haven't.
To the points, there's no parts available.
Yeah, you can't get parts anymore, so it's, the whole brain has to be changed. And this is the small part of it. It expands on bigger. We're not looking to do that. We're going, there's more information that we can get out of all, like the police cars and stuff. But this is just getting us back to monitoring all the fuel, and it doesn't change anything that the current, like the police, fire, public works, rec, town hall, all the stuff that we have will work with this.
can you add on to it to get
Yes.
more stuff
Yes.
later on if you so
Correct. So
choose
the
to?
system, what's it called? There's a ring on the cars. So it's a security thing too. Everybody's got to put their security in to get gas. Otherwise, anybody can go into public works and start pumping gas.
So, like,
Oh,
right-
good.
This is a
Yeah, it's a
security.
free-for-all.
Yeah, so right now, you have to put your key in
advertise that?
and your code to fuel the truck, but essentially, you could fuel anything.
It's not working now.
The phase two to this, which was in here at $71,000, is you put an aim ring on each piece so that you have to not only put your code in, but it will only fuel that piece.
And it pulls all the information out of the car, pulls out the mileage and, anything that's wrong with it. So it's a much bigger bit.
That's a
We don't
phase
need
two.
that right now, but, yeah.
Yeah. And we'll have cameras on the fuel system shortly anyway, so that's security as well.
Okay. And does the gate that goes to the back where the fuel tanks, does that shut and lock? Is it?
Yeah, that shuts and locks. Every cop car, every truck has a remote.
We had to open it for the winter because it froze up on us, but we couldn't get in.
Okay,
But, yeah.
We talked about possibly getting that on an automatic, so it automatically closes. Sometimes it's left
Do this in
open.
executive session.
yeah, well.
We keep going down this.
Well, that's, I would,
We can do it in a few minutes to talk about the security we have to keep people
Yeah.
in place now.
okay, so the.
I rounded to 25, just to give it, just in case.
It's the Anthony rounding
The Anthony
method.
round, yeah.
While we're on this.
Well, you never know.
While we're on G, Anthony, you said that the first part of it, the auger house?
Yes.
Money came from somewhere else? Where did it come from?
It came from the combination of the vendor who ran the fiber, part of that townwide fiber project you guys funded through ARPA.
Yeah,
There was originally a bill outstanding for work at the auger house to tie it into the system. That was deemed to be not accurate. Secondly, there was need for a switch to be able to have our computers, whoever runs in that building, and internet and such, and Wi-Fi. And the Board of Education is supplying us with the switch for that, so we don't need that at all.
I have a question.
okay, so we're on item
13G.
13G, number 2, Fuel Master.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm,
We just went through the budget sessions, and I don't remember this coming up during the budget. So is this here in addition to, are we approving something?
This is-
Well, we didn't even vote on the budget yet.
This is to take out a contingency right now so they can get it fixed now, rather than wait until July 1st.
And how does-
This request is to
Transfer.
fix the item.
Well, we didn't know that a couple weeks ago, that we needed to fix this to make it part of the budget, or whatever it is, that's what I'm trying to understand.
We've been working on it, and the salesman, it's one salesman that covers Connecticut to Canada, I think he said. It was tough to get him down there.
And every time they get it working, 2 weeks later, it breaks down again. They get it fixed and it breaks down again, so.
We're
I guess
trying-
you come to the point now you.
I've been there at midnight putting in the manual mode. I remember Poco night out there trying to fuel the carts and.
It's an emergency.
So
Right
so
now,
it's,
right, Ken?
That's the value of contingency. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right,
Versus waiting until July and then
Yeah.
ordering the parts and.
It was working at one time.
right. So their request, they came to us now because of the, you know,
Well, we can't fix it anymore now.
Right, it's-
the last few times.
it's done being fixed and it needs to be replaced. So they're only doing the actual replacement to get it working.
Yep.
And then at some point in time, they can come back to us in a capital to do all the other things if they want to, if they so desire. So this right now is estimated to be $25,000. It could come in a little bit less, and it's coming out of contingency, which is what we have contingency for.
I have a question, Anthony. You say that the Auger House is basically just the hub of the potato festival operations? Isn't there more to the Auger House than that? I mean.
Well, Park and Rec is going,
Park-
I know, I mean,
yeah.
I just.
It's empty right now, right?
It's empty.
I know, but I thought
think
they were
I-
gonna have
I-
other activities, not just the POCO.
correct.
Right, I think in the
way-
last
the way
meeting, you
he
talked
words
about
it,
Park
it
and Rec.
sounds like it's just the POCO.
Yeah, the last meeting you said Park and Rec.
Park and Rec was gonna use it, and one of the primary things that they're focusing on is moving the Potato Festival administration piece, if you will, out of the Park and Rec office.
I
and
understand
into
that,
there.
but it sounds like that's all, to me, the way I read this paragraph, I find it a little confusing.
After the last meeting, I spoke with Carrie Haynes, and she asked about, okay, how can we get started? So we went and we talked with Dennis Pannone, and we said, all right, the fiber is connected. Are we good to get people in there and start using it? And the answer was no, because the switches needed, there was more work that was needed, and that was the genesis of this. There's one furnished office in the building, as I understand it. So the intention would be, since the town is already, paying operating money to use the building, we would get the POCO people in there now while we worked on a plan to do the rest.
She's in the process of developing some programs that she wants to move into the Auger House.
Okay.
But in the meantime, that's what they would do.
So
is-
when the Board of Ed was in there, they didn't put any fiber, any technology in there?
They did, but when they left, they took their technology.
Well, it was
with
all
Took it with them.
Comcast. It was pre-fiber. So the fiber connection came in and the fiber line is run. But for example, if you plug into a jack in the wall, there's nothing right now because there's still additional equipment that's needed. They were in the process of doing that when they left, so they did not finish the process.
I just needed clarification.
That's okay. Okay. All right. So we need to approve the contingency transfer for Public Works for the Fuel Master. So I need a motion to approve, if that's
So
so.
moved.
Yeah, There's no prepared motion.
There's nothing to read it on?
No, it's
I'll second.
There's no motion, it's just.
it's to approve the contingency transfer for the Fuel Master upgrade for Public Works. So the motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Miller,
What's the
And-
motion?
to approve the contingency transfer for the Fuel Master upgrade for Public Works, not to exceed $25,000. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, financial report for February 28th, 2026.
Financial report you have in front of you. Again, revenue tracking just about identical to last year at this time, 90.2%, 1% below, but nothing outrageous. The expense side of the house, again, Rory's going to talk shortly about the 4100 Consolidated Cost Center. That's going to be resolved in April when we can move money between departments. Aside from that, no other departments are overexpended. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to address them. But otherwise, some remarkable report.
Okay. I just have a question. What makes up the amount of revenue into the finance department?
That's primarily the ECS grant.
Oh, okay.
I'll get the exact numbers for you.
Because I
Yeah,
know
no, that's a good
taxes are
Right.
main thing.
And this year, we got that $654,000 of motor vehicle tax reimbursement that we're not going to get next year because
Right.
we're under. So that's in that 654 is in there. The ECS grant, 3.8 million is in there. Those are the biggest ones. The regional water pilot payment is in there.
Okay,
So there's several in there.
okay, thank you.
CD interest, there's a few things in there.
Okay. All right. Next item agenda is accounts 4100 and 4300. Counselor Rose asked to have this put on the agenda, so.
Right, but so Rory, if, when I asked for that, I didn't realize we were gonna spend another hour going over it, so
Okay.
I'm good.
Well,
Well, that, how I asked
That was
for
good.
it.
Nobody's arguing.
And then we stayed another
Yeah.
hour and went over.
Yeah, if you're satisfied,
So I'm good.
okay.
If anyone else has any more.
I mean, it was in regards to further explanation as to how account 4100 and 4300, which is the consolidated, and we did cover this in detail at our last budget workshop last week on March 10th. So there is stuff in our
That
minutes.
might not be a bad idea every meeting to have a refresher,
Well, until we actually see it.
Yeah, we did discuss maybe over the course of the next fiscal year, providing you updates during the financial report on the status of those two accounts so that you can see the status on an ongoing basis instead of just once a year.
Yeah, that would probably be very helpful until we're all used to that account. Okay? All right. Next item, citizen statements and petitions.
Good evening, Flip Potter from Northford. Couple things. Vinnie was concerned about the language with renters and landlords. One thing this council has to do, if the landlord's a North Branford citizen and the renters are you have to protect both sides. So you've got to be careful what you write up. You can't hurt the landlord. And if the renter is not smart enough to get a lease, he has no rights. He has no rights to modify the property of the landlord. And I just think it's a bag of worms. If you don't properly address it somehow, you can't give the renter more rights than the person that owns the property. And there has to be rules, because if the renter is not up on codes and he tries to hire the guy in the white van with no signs on it, then he puts the landlord at risk. I get what you're saying. My grandmother lived in a 3-story house in Hamden. And again, but she had a good landlord. If she wanted something done, the landlord would do it for her, because he knew he was protecting his property by fulfilling her wishes, and she would stay. So I think you got to be very careful how you write that up. Just my thoughts. Now, I'm hoping Al, because he's got history here, can back up what I was saying. The next thing is requirements for the town planner. Carrie was here, Carrie left. We went through town paper, planners like we were going through toilet paper. I don't want to say they were unqualified, but I don't think it made it easier for builders in town to deal with. They didn't last long, either of them. And I think our town reputation for giving good service to builders definitely took a hit. I like Tommy's idea. If you don't have something to protect you, you could get in a mess. And we did get in a mess. And I don't know, I mean, I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened, but it happened. And it was not pleasant. And again, we got a great town here. We can't tarnish our reputation. So I think you do need, at 3 months, are you doing everything you're supposed to do? At 6 months, are you still doing everything? And then, I mean, even if you have to go to a year, but you gotta protect two things. You gotta protect the people that are trying to do business in town, the builders, and you gotta protect the property holders. And I mean, there was just stuff that happened, and I won't go into our dirty laundry, but it was not pretty. And we took a big hit. And so I think, you know, we'll never get another Carol Zeb. She was pretty good. Carrie was good. I'll give credit where credit's due. But we're known not to be the highest paying people either. So sometimes you don't get what you need because we can't afford what we need sometimes. So again, when you relook at that job description, put some checks and balances in there so you can protect the people, all the people involved, including the council making the rules, but you're actually making the rules to help the people in the long run. And I mean, any job you go to, I mean, I was a union worker for years. You are under a watchful eye, and you do have to perform. I don't see why we wouldn't want that out of an official in our town. So what if you're management? You shouldn't be under a different cloud just because you're management. You should be under the same work ethics and work measurements. And that's my thoughts. And thank you again for the good budget season coming up.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
You know, I think, I would like to say, I would love to have a copy of that in paper, so I know that those are all the areas that are.
Oh, I think we are getting cheat sheets.
Oh, we are?
Very nice.
Yes.
I mean, I still don't understand, but.
Yes, they told us we are getting cheat
Oh, okay.
sheets with account numbers and everything else because we, you know, don't work on it with it on a daily basis and don't know all those things, so. We can modify as we go along on the budget and tell them what we want, since this is all new to us, those two accounts.
It looks like it's getting longer and longer.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other citizen statements? Okay. Then we'll need a motion to go into executive session. Do we need two separate, we have to do each one separately? Okay. So.
Okay, I'll make the motion to CGS-1-206D to discuss the possible sale of real property as publicity regarding such site and sale could adversely impact the price of such sale.
Do I have a second?
The motion should include who will be in executive session, please.
Town manager and the town attorney.
Town council, town attorney, town manager, and finance director.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I was second, that's right.
Okay. Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Miller. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, we're going into executive session.